If you've got an asylum case pending in immigration court, then you need to see this video. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do before your hearing in the way of preparation. You see, being adequately prepared can make all the difference in your case. Now, sadly, I've seen a lot of people lose their case and receive an order of deportation because they simply did not do what was necessary to ensure that they were ready for their big day, for their so-called individual hearing in immigration court. This hearing, by the way, is also sometimes referred to as a merits hearing. And yeah, this is the one where you're explaining your case. You're telling your story and hopefully doing so in a way that shows the judge how you meet all of the requirements for asylum. It's the hearing where everything is on the line. It's where you make or break your case. And in this video, I'm going to tell you what you need to do to prepare for your merits hearing in immigration court. I'm Brian Manning, and I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now, as an asylum lawyer, well, I help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. Let me know in the comments if you've got an asylum case pending, or maybe you're considering applying. And listen, I'd especially like to hear from you if you've been waiting for an asylum interview with USCIS for multiple years. Listen, your asylum hearing in immigration court is your chance to explain your case. It's your opportunity to convince the judge that you qualify for asylum, that you deserve to stay in the United States. But I gotta tell you, it's probably not going to be easy. You see, the uncomfortable truth is that you're probably facing a hostile judge and prosecutor. Now, the latter, the prosecutor, definitely wants you to be deported. And honestly, the former, the judge, might want this as well. They're trying to poke holes in your story, and in many cases, the judge herself is just looking for an excuse to be able to deny you. To be sure, asylum approval rates are low. And unfortunately, many asylum seekers go into their individual hearing totally unprepared. They do little, if anything, to prepare. They just think that, showing up and just kind of explaining their case, well, that should be sufficient. Well, it won't. You see, you need to prepare rigorously for your individual hearing in immigration court. Here's how to do that in 3 steps. First, you need to shore up the logistics and other practical matters. Now, this part may sound a little bit boring, but I promise you it's important. You need to start thinking about this stuff right away so that you're not stressed out right before your hearing, trying to deal with these practical issues. So upon receiving your hearing notice, which is the letter from the court telling you that your individual hearing has been scheduled, carefully read it to verify things like, your personal information, and note the date, time, and location, and put this information on your calendar immediately. You need to consider who else needs to know about your hearing, such as dependent family members who are actually included in your case, and any witnesses that you may want to ask to participate. Also, note that you'll need to take the whole day off of work or school, possibly 2 days if travel is required. So be sure to ask for time off well in advance. Next, plan your travel logistics. Use Google Maps to estimate travel time, adding extra time for potential delays. Aim to arrive at least 40 minutes early. Now, if you're traveling from far away, you should really go the night before and stay in a hotel. It's definitely better to do that than to wake up at a ridiculously early hour in the morning to make it to the court on time. You really don't want to be exhausted for your hearing. You need to be sharp. If you have children, plan accordingly. Try to leave children who aren't part of the case or whose presence has been excused by the judge at home. For kids that do end up going with you, well, bring items to keep them occupied, including books. Plan what you will wear in advance, ensuring that it's a clean and presentable outfit. Organize all necessary documents, including identification and the originals of any documents that you submitted with your application or supplemental materials. Now, use a binder or a folder system for easy access during the hearing. You should pack snacks and water since you could be at the court all day. Gather everything a few days before your hearing and place all of it in a bag by your door so that you won't forget it. Also, don't forget a phone charger, as you may need your telephone during the long day, such as during a break or maybe once the hearing is over. Okay, that's it for the logistics. Now, before we turn to the substantive preparation that you need to do to give yourself the best possible chance of winning asylum, I just want to note that I'm leaving in the video description down below a link to a tutorial all about what exactly will happen in your asylum hearing from start to finish. Be sure to check that out so you know exactly what to expect at your individual hearing. Also, I'm going to leave a link to a training on all the questions that you can expect to be asked in your asylum case. You definitely need to watch that training before your hearing. All right, moving on. The second crucial phase in your preparation is studying. Now, you've got to dedicate many hours to this. Honestly, I think you should set aside about 40 hours in the weeks leading up to your hearing for just studying. Review your declaration, evidence, and application materials multiple times over several days. Read these materials over and over until they become ingrained in your subconscious. Focus intensively on your declaration, aiming to basically memorize it, especially regarding threats and incidents of harm that you've endured. You should create flashcards with key information from your declaration. You can use apps like Quizlet to study these efficiently. Also, I think you should consider using text-to-speech software like Speechify to listen to your declaration while you're doing other activities. You see, you can download to your phone an audio file of your declaration being read to you in your own language through Speechify. And then you can just listen over and over again. Listen in the car, while you're doing dishes or exercising, or whenever else you can. Also, make a timeline of important events and focus on memorizing dates and exact words used during incidents of harm or threats. These are areas that prosecutors and judges often test applicants on. Moreover, you need to carefully study any evidence that you submitted in support of your case. Like if you submitted witness letters or maybe photographs or perhaps medical documents or really anything else, you need to be intimately familiar with those items because you may be asked about them at your hearing. Let me address here a very common question I get when I tell people that they should pretty much memorize their declaration and other materials. You see, people sometimes worry that once it's time to talk about this stuff at the hearing, they'll sound rehearsed, like they've, memorized it. Now they fear that this could hurt their case. To that, I say, yes, you may sound rehearsed, but this is infinitely better than making mistakes in the form of testimony that's inconsistent with your documents or with other things that you've said at the hearing. You see, you won't get denied asylum just for sounding like you've studied or even memorized your asylum materials, but you will get denied if there are multiple inconsistencies in your case. And inconsistencies are less likely to occur if you're intimately familiar with all of your asylum materials. By the way, if you want to maximize your chances for asylum success, then be sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you don't miss the insights that I share on this channel. All right, the third key step in preparing for your asylum hearing is practicing telling your story. Do this with a trusted friend or family member, preferably not your spouse. Start by telling your story uninterrupted and then have them ask follow-up questions. If you're emotionally able to do so, ask the person to challenge you more aggressively in later sessions. Now, the second time around, you'll tell your story, but the person should jump in and interrupt you repeatedly with questions. Some of them on topic with what you're saying, some of them not. You see, this is what the judge and prosecutor will do, so it's best if you can practice it ahead of time. I recommend doing this exercise at least 3 times before your asylum hearing, ideally with multiple people. These sessions where you tell your story and they ask you follow-up questions or even interrupt you while you're talking should eventually end up lasting at least an hour. You really need to go deep on this stuff, okay? Note that you can also practice alone if speaking to others is too difficult. If you can only manage either studying or practicing due to emotional strain, well then I recommend that you prioritize studying your declaration. By following these steps, planning logistics, studying intensively, and practicing telling your story, you'll be well prepared for your asylum hearing. This preparation maximizes your chance for success by ensuring that you can articulate your case clearly and consistently. If you're ready to take the next step and get help with your asylum case, then please call my office today. That number is 713-909-0401. And remember, we help people all over the country, so it doesn't matter where you're located. Call us today and schedule an asylum strategy session so that we can help you secure your future in America through asylum. Again, I'm Brian Manning, and it's an honor to serve you in your asylum journey.